This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch. We've all heard that before. Maybe it was a grandparent, a parent. Maybe we're passing that on to our own kids and grandkids. And what does this mean for our finances? How do we keep from counting our chickens before they hatch in our nest egg? See what we did there? Pretty cute. Well, you're going to find out today. Scott McLean and Financial Insanity. Out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. So, Scott, what do you think of when you hear don't count your chickens before they hatch as it applies to retirement income?
So not as it applies to my farm.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously you heard noise from our farm, but the neatest thing is, we all depend on income coming in when you're in retirement or nearing retirement. I had a phone call today from a couple that just moved to Green Cove Springs, Florida, and this couple is trying to plan their retirement. So counting your chickens before they hatch we definitely want to have a nice income. But what if something happens? What if you get sick and disabled what if you retire? What if you get fired? When we talk about Social Security, of course, are you thinking about, well, what if my spouse takes it first and I take mine later? Great option. But on the other side of the coin, when you're thinking about taking your Social Security, what if your spouse dies and you lose that option? So when you're planning for Social Security, Alex, the biggest challenge I find is they don't look at holistically I call it the three-legged stool: your Social Security, your current investments, and your retirement investments, or maybe your pension. And you must really delve into questions like that when you're planning your retirement, because you're trying to count your chickens before they hatch. But what if something happens? So you need to ask a lot of different variables. I think this is very, very important, Alex.
Absolutely. And Scott, when we're talking specifically about Social Security and now not counting your chickens before they hatch, the easy thing to think about is the cost of living adjustment. And this is made each year. And I hear you laughing. And
It's going up.
Yeah. Well, we got an estimate from the Senior Citizens League. And no, that's not, the softball league or anything. But there could be a 9.6% increase in Social Security payments next year. But we don't want to just assume that and make plans based on that, right, Scott?
No, I would run the numbers just for giggles. I would really think about 7 to 9%. Now they're saying about 8.7 or perhaps 9. So again, counting the chickens for the hatch. Just be glad they have Social Security. Be glad that if you're taking it now, you're getting Social Security. But use that in your numbers if you want. Just use a quick thing. Maybe an extra average is about an extra $150 plus or minus the $10. It's about $150 is the average.
Well, and there's still a lot of data to be collected, and before that official COLA is announced, so that could all go down. And as far as counting on Social Security for income, I mean, how much should we be counting on that as we move forward?
Well, you need to really, if you're listening right now, grab yourself a pen, paper, or pencil. If you simply go to Social Security, you need to know your numbers. I could throw all sorts of numbers out there, but that'd be like a doctor giving you a prescription for a ailment you don't have. But I think the first part is to really go to socialsecurity.gov, and it's called My Account. You can actually log in if you haven't done it before and watch your numbers, watch your income. They could be wrong. My Social Security. Go Google that. Download the information. You can get your report right away. And I think this is very important for those of you that are divorced. And maybe you should take your husband's or your wife's, or I should say your significant other, prior significant other, take their Social Security. So should you or shouldn't you take their Social Security and let yours be delayed? This is very important. This report, go to mysocialsecurity.gov. I think it's called socialsecurity.gov and then my account. Download that report. If you can't get your report, you need to call Social Security. You need that report before you start counting your chickens, as we spoke about, because you could be way off. Your report could be wrong. Very important.
If you have questions, Scott may have answers for you. You can reach Scott and his team, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Another area here where this lesson comes into play on how your retirement income is going to be taxed. Don't want to necessarily look at account balances and assume that's the amount we get to spend in retirement. Tell us, Scott, taxes, the impact that's going to have on retirement.
Alex, this is so important if you're listening right now, why your advisor should be looking at your tax returns or asking you questions on an annual basis. Why? Because one year your Social Security may not be taxed at all because of the marginal tax bracket. And the Social Security could be totally tax-free, and then all of a sudden you hit a wonderful age, let's say 72, you've received tax-free Social Security, and now because you're taking your required minimum distributions from your investments, it's now taxed up to, drum roll please, that's right, 85%. 85% it can be taxed up to. This is why the tax returns is critical to look at when you're planning heading into retirement or while you're in retirement. And this is not an Einstein deal. It's very simple, especially if your advisor's been doing it for years. I'm sure your tax preparer has been doing taxes for years, but their job is not to guide you. Their job is to do the taxes. This is where your financial advisor, preferably a fiduciary that's looking for your best interest. If you're not, you're looking in the wrong neighborhood. And for those do-it-yourselfers, you need to pay attention to Social Security and how it's taxed. Now, to put the whole picture together, like you said, Alex, you've got your 401k, 403b, perhaps you have a 457. Maybe you have a defined contribution plan. How is that taxed? That's called ordinary income. So when you're pulling money out of those vehicles, perhaps you have other vehicles, let's say a non-qualified account, a joint account, maybe money you've been saving on the side. When you design your retirement for efficiency, tax efficiency, as well as less taxation, perhaps your spouse's lights are going dim, which account should you use? Perhaps your spouse is now disabled and you're pulling money to pay for a in-home nursing. You see, Alex, how many choices there are. So I'm talking on the radio to you listeners right now. I'm speaking to you because you have choices to make, and everybody is not cookie cutter. I hate financial planning shows where they give you what to do, but everybody's not the same. You know, if you want some ideas or some thoughts or some concerns, please don't put this off, because when you make a choice for Social Security, when you turn on your pension plan and make choices for pension, when you start pulling money out of your accounts, which account do you pull it out from? This is why it's important. Write this down. This is, please do yourself a favor. Write this down. Ready? 609-488-4646. Write this down. 609-488-4646, because I'll be able to help guide you. You give me a call off the air at our radio station here, 609-488-4646, because you might have questions, and I guarantee you I will have answers. Why do I say guarantee? Because if I don't, I'll find them out for you. How's that? Or I'll lead you to someone who can, because this is something you're making a decision to retire. You look at all your investment accounts and how much do you pull out of your accounts so you can minimize taxes.
Well, and Scott, the whole topic today, talking about not counting chickens before they hatch, is all about not making assumptions, not assuming you're going to be okay or that you're going to be, not okay. And
You're right.
And this is where, Scott, bringing in a professional, whether it's a first or a second or a third opinion, but just that you don't want to make these assumptions. And you alluded to it, but there's just so many details and so many codes and so many rules, and tax rates change all the time, and how do you stay ahead of these things, and so you're not just being reactive. And these are all things that you can either think about, or you can invest some time with someone to think about that for you.
Well, Alex, you said the word reactive, and I think that's a very powerful question, because most of us are reactive. It's like, I want to go get something in the store. You go to McDonald's, you buy food that's maybe not that healthy for you. You're reactively going to fill your hanger tank. Or I think my daughter calls me sometimes when I don't eat. You want to make a quick answer, but that quick answer could cause more ailments, more challenges, more problems. So you want to be proactive, not reactive. And this is a big point, counting your chickens before they hatch. Well, things do change. So you could plan now, but maybe later on in life, another 2 or 3 months, all of a sudden, I'll give you a case in point that your child has taken sick. And I'm not being doom and gloomer here early in the morning, but your child has taken sick, and perhaps maybe now you have to take care of the grandkids. Maybe now your retirement has changed. Maybe now you are putting the grandkids, now you're raising the grandkids. I know I have several clients like this. They're about to retire, and all of a sudden now they become, I should say parents, but now they're grandparents. But now the tax return changed because now they have some different exemptions. This is not a set it and forget it deal. This is not a deal where your advisor meets with you one time and over the phone or on Zoom or in person, and you're done. This is a plan that's fluid. Alex, we spoke in one of our shows about a financial plan. Anytime you put a financial plan is, to me, ridiculous if it's for your life, because it's not stagnant. It's for that point in time, and then that's set. But things change. So a financial plan, you pay a financial planner to put a plan together. And today the plan looks wonderful, but 6 months down the line, the plan has changed. You pay all that money, but life has changed. This is why I think it's crazy to put a financial plan and put a period at the end of that word financial plan, because it is a moving target. Life is a moving target, as we all know.
Scott, if someone's sitting there, they have questions about Social Security, or they have questions about taxes in retirement, or how to generate retirement income, or if they just simply think, you know what, I've had one person looking at my stuff, maybe I need a second person, a second set of eyes. What should folks out there do?
That makes sense to get a second set of eyes, whether it's with our firm here at McLean Advisory in Waretown, New Jersey, which we've been doing, a proud supporter of WBNJ for so many years because we're able to educate people. But get someone who can take a look at your stuff holistically, which is why I said in the beginning of the show, go to your Social Security, SSA.gov, download your Social Security report. Then, of course, when you meet with a second opinion or third opinion, or obviously you'll give us a call at our studio, 609-488-4646, to help guide you through these many decisions you're making that you think it's a simple decision, but simplicity, I call it the disease of ease. It seems simple, but it could not be simple. So this is important to give us a call if we can help you off the air at our station here for any kind of questions you might have. Would love to help you, as we've been doing now for 41 years, I guess now, Alex.
Scott welcomes you to try that number. Also, if you would rather go to the website, it is simply the phone number with .com at the end. So 609-488-4646.com.
How simple is that?
Pretty darn easy. And you are listening to Financial Insanity, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity. More with Scott coming up.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money. and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
Get all this stuff and you try to put it away like these hoarders on TV, it has an emotional attachment.
So, Scott, you're saying I don't have to keep every single drawing that my son has done? You're saying I could throw some of that away?
The answer is yes. You can take a picture, then throw it out.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Do you know how much income you'll need in retirement? There isn't one number that's right for everyone. Income needs in retirement are unique to each person or couple, and there are some questions, though, that can help you plan for retirement. We're going to go through those today. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman alongside advisor Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, we got 6 questions to go through, so let's just jump into it, my friend. The first essential question to ask as you're looking to think, how much income am I going to need in retirement? The first question, well, what are you spending right now? We got to know what that answer is, right, Scott?
It's amazing. I just had a meeting with a lovely couple, and we're doing their planning. And the wife, she does the books, and the husband came in for the first time. I met her a couple times, and I said, look, for us to move forward, I've got to speak to your husband. I love meeting with spouses because I got to make sure we're all on the same page. And I said, by the way, what are you spending right now? Same question you just asked. You know, what is your monthly outflow? What are you getting on your checkbook? What are you actually getting on income? What are you spending? And she looked at me because I caught her off guard. She goes, wow, you're catching me off guard. I said, yeah, but this number should be in the back of your mind somewhere because you guys are about to retire and you both have juicy pensions. My question when I see you guys or see people, Alex, is how much are you spending right now? And she goes, started adding up line by line by line what she's spending. The challenge is when she's spending that much money, when they spend that much money, what does your retirement look like is the question I ask. In other words, are we going on a trip? Are we traveling by plane, train, boat? Maybe you have an RV. We have to calculate those numbers. But the first number, what are we spending right now before we retire? And as we're in retirement, the question is, will that number stay the same? When will the mortgage be off? So Alex, this is a very critical number. And she said, Scott, I really don't know. I said, before we do anything, before we move any money around, before we move anything, your investments and your choices, I like to know this first to find out, do we have enough emergency fund? Do we have enough income? And if your lights go dim, you go in the nursing home, what's our backup plan? And this is important. What are we spending now? Good way to start that, Alex, because a lot of people don't know that number. You should have that number in your mind.
Yep.
And the goal is to beat it. Can I save money or do I need more money?
Yep. Much like, you go to the doctor to face reality when it comes to your health, it's much like needing to go to an advisor to really get a reality check when it comes to your finances. And so this is where you just got to be real, you got to be honest, and Scott can have this conversation as we're going over the essential questions to ask when determining how much income a person's going to need in retirement. And the second question here, Scott, is how will your spending change in retirement? For instance, do you dream of traveling, plan to move out of the state? There's a lot of different things you could spend money on, obviously.
It's a lot of things
I can think of a few.
Yeah, you might be eating out more money. And of course, we have inflation that'll evaporate your wallet quickly. Maybe your dreams and goals of traveling. What kind of, like I just said, maybe you have an RV. Do we figure out the cost of gas? Could it be going up? Maybe you're thinking about moving or selling a house. These are critical questions. We just spoke to a person last week. They have two beautiful properties, one here in New Jersey and one in Pennsylvania, the beautiful Poconos. They have a nice capital gain of around $200,000 capital gain. And if they sold it, which they were thinking about, I said, well, did you plan on the taxes on the capital gain? And they said, well, no, we're going to pay taxes. I said, yeah, let's just figure this out. We kind of figured it out. But if they put the money into a specialized REIT, real estate investment trust, and you have A, liquidity so you can pull out the principal, but B, pay no taxes, well, you should have seen their eyes light up. These are some strategies that are out there. Now, if you're going to start to travel and what does your retirement look like? How much you think you're going to spend? Again, it's a guesstimate. But in the early years of retirement, Alex, it's called the go-go years. Maybe in the first 10 years, you're really going to be blowing and going. You're going to have some fun. And I can tell you, you're going to spend more money than you thought, but keeping your eye on that budget. No one likes the cuss word, the B cuss word budget. But if we're keeping our eye on the cuss word budget, we know what we're spending, which is the first question you asked. We know what we need to stay around. This could help you. Or maybe some of you are thinking, well, if my mom and dad pass away, I have extra money. Well, don't look at them as your sugar daddy, even though they might be. But again, this could be put in your plan. But again, you don't want to bank on it. And everybody says that, but sometimes people say one thing, but in their heart, they're thinking another. Let's talk about spending. How much are we going to spend? What is our retirement? Can we really live the go-go years, Lord willing, healthy, enjoyable, or am I going to scrimp and save and stay at home and watch TV, watch Bob Barker? I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. This is Financial Insanity. It's out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. And the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Asking the essential questions today when determining if you're going to have enough income in retirement. That was a great point about, well, things are going to be getting more expensive in the future. You do have to account for that always. But a third question to ask here, Scott, family issues affecting your spending. A lot of different possibilities here, but a lot of things, good and bad, can happen with family when it comes to your money.
Let's talk about those lovely parents who have special needs kids. This could affect your spending. This could affect the quality of life. This could affect, are you bringing your son or your daughter on the trip with you? So we hope you can. This is a very touchy point, but it's a point people need to be aware of. What is that cost going to be? Because you want to enjoy your family as best as possible. Do we have someone take care of them as my wife and I or my husband and I go out? My partner and I go out and travel. Who can take care of my children in that area? Or let's not only talk about children, Alex, but about those of you that are actually taking care of your mom and dad.
Yep.
Or a dog or a cat. And that is part of your spending. These little things do add up. How will that affect your spending habits? And of course, can you bring them with you? Can't you bring them with you? Or is it possible or impossible?
Mm-hmm.
Spending. When you think about spending on top of that, Alex, in the first years, you got the go-go years. Do we have enough money to keep lasting? Will it last a long time? I'd like people remember the rule of four. The rule of four. We'll go over that in a minute, Alex, I think. But the rule of four is simply take a certain amount of money and do I need an extra, let's say, $1,000 a month? If you want an extra $1,000 a month with the rule of four, 1,000 times 12 obviously is $12,000. The rule of four is if I have money in a 4% account, well, that means you have $300,000 if you're just living on the interest. So we spoke about this early in this segment. Do I need to reallocate my portfolio for income, not growth, for income? So on the first of the month, I know there's going to be a check in the checkbook. I know the money is going to show up in the mailbox or in my checkbook, I should say, and I know it's going to be there. So the rule of four would be a basic thing, even though interest rates are very yummy right now. But I can tell you, if you listen to our last segment, if those lucky enough to listen to our last segment, if you didn't, you can go online and listen to it, of other different areas to get money at a nice 4 or 5%. Nice savings account. So again, how are we spending money? Where are we spending on it? What's the left hook? Another area of family, Alex, I forgot to bring up was your children. Some of you out there may have a child that keeps asking for money.
What?
And
that never happens.
Hey, Dad, Mom, I'm a little bit lean on my mortgage. Can you help me? Well, I'm not going to tell you to help them or not help them, but this affects. Hey, mom and dad, my son needs, or your grandson that's a great ball player. He needs new shoes and a baseball bat. I was talking to my daughter. These stinking bats cost like $400. These fancy bats for these little rat kids. I'm like, holy
crazy.
crap!
Yeah.
I used a wooden bat. Now they got these fancy bats.
Oh,
and,
don't go back in my day on them, Scott. Come on, don't go there.
So we kids can actually use their beautiful little eyes and start to pull money out of your wallet. Are you subject? Are you enabling them or disabling them? Remember, this retirement is your retirement. This is the go-go years. The first 10 years of retirement usually is the go-go years.
Yep.
And then you go into the slow-go years. You're not pulling out as much. But again, do you have enough nerve to say to the kids, no, this is for mom and I, or my partner and I, my beautiful lady friend, my boyfriend, whatever. Is this enough? And I can't keep helping you out here. The cuss word is 2 letters. It's no. But I know a lot of people have a hard time. By the way, I have a hard time. I love helping my kids if I can help them.
Sure.
But if I know they're doing the wrong with the money, they're not getting a daggum penny. So again, know how to say no. You got a lot of people with big hearts out there that are willing to give up money.
Yep.
At them. This is a tragedy.
And it's one of those things, too. We can ask all the questions, but one of the points is that there's going to be things that you cannot predict that happen in retirement. And so you have to have money set aside. As we talk about family, maybe your son or daughter goes through a divorce and that leaves them in a different financial situation. And now you're kind of stepping in to maybe let a son or daughter live with you, or maybe you're helping them with rent or with needs for children, or, there's so many unpredictable things. So I think that's just a good point, Scott, is that we can ask all these questions, which we need to ask, and we're going to go over them today. But there's also just those things that you cannot predict. And so you have to try to protect yourself with that kind of stuff as well. And Scott, we just have a couple minutes left here of this segment, but I think just drive the point home that you also know what questions there are to ask of someone that maybe people don't even know when they're thinking about figuring out how much income they're going to need in retirement. You know what to ask.
Alex, when I look at the 3D approach, the dollars, how much they have, the dreams, the desires, and the legacy, by looking at the tax return along with the estate planning, and then finding out where you want to go. What does your retirement look like to you? How do you want it? I really want a wonderful retirement. I want to really enjoy life. How does that set up? And these are questions that need to be asked, not once, Alex, but probably several times throughout 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe every year you review these questions and you change the game plan if you have to. Because if you don't change the game plan, you find out you're burning more cash. As I spoke to a woman just yesterday, she's helping the kids out to start their own store. I said, you need to stop this or you're going to be out of money. And remember, he said, you don't want to be the cat woman eating cat food? This could be you. Call my office, 609-488-4646. Scott McLean, I will help you. I'll guide you. No cost, no obligation. 609-488-4646. I'd love to help you.
3 more questions to ask when figuring out if you'll have enough income in retirement. On the other side, this is Financial Insanity.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646.
Investment advisory services are offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Retirement planning, investment planning
is a two-way street. It's got to meet. I need to understand the good, bad, and ugly you've been through so we can avoid those issues. This, to me, is very important.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
We are asking some essential questions today to help you determine how much income you're going to need in retirement. Last segment, we asked, how much are you spending right now? How will your spending change in retirement? And how will family issues affect your spending? Scott, the fourth question today, will your taxes be higher or lower in retirement? I think I know the answer.
Well, you know, it's not a set answer. I would think everybody think would be lower. You're correct, Alex. But let's assume you're a teacher and your spouse is medical, and you have a 401k and a 403b. You have a pension, and so you do a rollover. You roll over your money. Government allows you to move your money out of the company's plan, and because you'll do that wonderful rollover, wonderful, we've protected that money, and you're not 73 for the requirement of distribution. Usually when you retire, it's lower, but if let's say your spouse is getting $5,000 a month in pension and you're getting $5,000 a month in pension, well, that's all ordinary income. It could be higher than what you thought because you thought it would go down. Then you turn on Social Security, maybe too early. Maybe you should take money from a non-qualified account, let's say a checking account, savings account, money market account, a CD. Maybe you should take it from other different accounts than an IRA account. Why? Because the higher the marginal tax bracket is, the more you're going to have to pay at tax time. So you thought, no, I wasn't going to have much money in tax. You find out, wow, went from 15% to 13, not a very big savings. So again, this is why the advisor that you're working with needs to look at the tax returns on a yearly basis to see how has your circumstance changed. Now, in retrospect, if you're living on Social Security and you're pulling a little bit of money out of your accounts, your IRA accounts, frankly, you could have a tax-free tax return, and now you're paying zero in tax. And for those people that actually invested money into some unique insurance type of products that you can pull out money tax-free and still have the estate if you pass away, you may have a tax-free retirement. On top of planning session says maybe you've been putting away money into a Roth IRA. Now you're pulling money out of the Roth IRA. You're pulling out of the money out of the non-qualified money. You're pulling out of money from Social Security, and then you turn on your pension, or you don't. Again, looking at that tax return could be, hopefully you're living at a lower taxable income, but the marginal tax bracket, and as the advisor looks at the tax returns on an annual basis, which is why our firm started the tax practice in 2008, Alex. We actually do taxes for our financial clients. We charge them a lot of money. It's $125, Alex, for a full tax return, unless they have some other fancy stuff like the real estate and stuff. But basically, the tax return is $125 because I want to know, they don't have to do tax with us, what's going on. It gives us heads up, hey, something changed. But another thing that can change for those of you out there, what if someone dies and you inherit money? And now you have to pull out money from the inheritable money. And the new law says, 2020, you got to take it out within a 10-year period. It's called a stretch. You can stretch it over the 10 years. Take it all out now. Take a little bit out. Should you convert it to a Roth? And these are great questions. Again, someone dies. When we get these questions all the time, Alex, when people call us at our studios, and they say, well, Scott, I just lost my mom and she passed away. I received her an inheritance and a lot of it's IRA money. How do we handle it? Please come in. Give us a call at our studios, because taking too much out could really affect a no taxable retirement to a huge taxable retirement. And this is why you need to really analyze and kind of really view each person individually. This is not a cookie cutter deal, Alex. This is not a good. So yes, in the beginning, should your tax be low retirement? Yes, we all think that, but don't think too deeply. You need to really dive into the depths of how you're pulling money out, where you're pulling money out, and then just for those of you out there, could you have phantom tax? Phantom tax is an unknown tax. So when the stock market drops and you have non-qualified money in the stock market, let's say you have mutual funds and a Vanguard, T. Rowe Crieff, maybe you have Scudder, and they make a profit within the stock market portfolio that dropped, you could pay tax on long-term capital gains. You scratch your head, how could I pay tax when my account went down 30%? Well, that's called phantom tax. So this is why it's really important as you do your 3D approach to planning. You look at the dollars, the dreams, and then of course, your dynasty. How does it pass on so the kids don't get whacked as much in taxes? This is important, Alex. This is a lost art in our field.
Yes, 609-488-4646 is that number. We have one final question. So to recap, as we're going through the essential questions to ask when determining how much income you're going to need in retirement, we have 6 of them. The first one, how much are you spending right now? The second question is, how will your spending change in retirement? Third question, will family issues affect your spending? Then we asked, will your taxes be higher or lower in retirement? How could inflation impact your assets? And the final question today, and we all know the answer to this one, and I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek, how long will you live? But we do have to consider this, Scott. People are living longer.
You know, that's between you and the Lord. The Lord we all have a clock. I don't know what my clock says, but if I look at my mom and dad, daddy died at 74. Mama died at 75. My clock, if I go by them, is longer. Then I look at grandma and grandpa's clock and they lived to 84 and 86. I hope I have their clock. We don't know. But will your money outlive you, or will you outlive your money? And this determines on all those wonderful questions you asked, Alex, because it leads into, how do I plan for my retirement so I have a steady stream of income? Inflation, not inflation, a low rate of return, stock market collapse, we go to a war. There is lots of questions. And in your final questions, we talk about how much income you need in retirement. And how long will you live? Well, how much need for income retirement? That goes to your budget, is the first phase. Then it goes to your dreams. How do you want to travel the next 10 years, or what do you want to do? What kind of fun do you want to do? Maybe you want to stay around the house, put a wedding on for your son or your daughter. Maybe you take care of your special needs child and have a wonderful life and spend time with them. Or maybe your husband or wife, lights are going dim. How do we enjoy this process the best way possible? But we think about all of these areas. How much income is needed? This is a great, great formula of the rule of 4. And then, of course, it goes on the rule of 4. If you don't know the rule of 4, give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. Let me guide you the rule of 4 and how it fits into your portfolio. But then how long do you plan on living? Well, I don't know that answer. I'm not the maker and the creator. I do believe in the maker and creator. The question is, I didn't make or create you, so I don't know. But what I do know is, do we have enough so we don't outlive our retirement? As that one woman I spoke to, she doesn't want to live on cat food, although it may be more nutritious. I don't know. but
well,
the
kind of pet food they make nowadays, it's hard to distinguish anymore what's human and what's.
Yeah. I agree.
It's wild.
That's you out there. You know what? These questions we brought in today are real. I hear them often, and it's so normal to get these questions, but everybody isn't the same. This is not cookie cutter solutions for anybody I meet. Each person is so individual. Perhaps you're going through a divorce, game plan change. Perhaps your spouse or your partner died, game plan change. Maybe they chose the pension option. Option means if you die, the pension goes away. Game plan change. Wouldn't that be better to know that now than later? Wouldn't that be know that if you have a good long lifeline, like some of my friends, their parents died at 75, like me, or those of you who are really blessed, their parents died at 90 or 100. You know what? This is a good indicator how you should really plan. It's not the all set it and forget it, but this is what you discuss every year. And this is why we talk to people about their dreams, their dollars, and their dynasty on how it fits within the taxes, the legacy, your will, power of attorney, living will. Should you hide your assets into a trust? Again, what is the impact on your retirement? What's the impact on the money that you leave behind and how they be taxed? This is important, Alex. That's why you talk about the 3D planning.
Yep. I love it. Yep. Again, that number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646.
You are listening to Financial Insanity, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity. More with Scott coming up.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
I call it the chicken and the egg. The chicken is the investment, the egg is the dividend. And so when the chicken pops out the eggs, if you don't need the money, let's reinvest the eggs and buy more chickens.
Man, that's just an excellent analogy, Scott.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Financial Insanity. We're having a great time as always. And in this segment, we wanted to get your questions. And so we're going to get some insights from Scott on some of your main retirement concerns, and then something fun here at the end. Scott, you're going to have to be on your toes here. We're going to do a lightning round of think fast questions. So
I appreciate that, Alex. I'm excited to tell people because we've gotten so many phone calls, and thank you for allowing me to give them to you so you can curate them to what the most common questions were. So let's get this party started.
Let's do it, my man. All right. So our first question here, we hear this a lot, but what could the impact be on my pension if I decide to retire early?
Great one. Thank you, John, who wrote that. John, let me make it real clear to you. Reduced monthly benefits. Could you reduce your monthly benefits? Number two, are you banking on your spouse's income or your significant other's income? If you're not banking on your other significant income, great. What does that look like? But then you must also think about, John, you must think about what if you became disabled and you needed extra money? Could that or could that not affect you? This is a critical decision when we talk about Social Security, as well as the many pension options that you're available to take. And this is mistakes. I call this the pension trap. So if you have questions out there, anybody about to take the pensions, you definitely want to give our studios a call, because this is one of the most disastrous choices when they pick the pension option. What option is the best for you? It's not a simple ABC, let's go to D. That's not the right. So please don't put that off. Please feel free to give me a call. I don't mean to throw a plug out there. No cost, no obligation. Call me in my studio, 609-488-4646. And again, thank you, John, for your call, 609-488-4646. Anybody else has questions and want to go on the air, Alex, I'll give them to you. Go ahead. Next one.
Love it. As we're going through some listener questions today, another question we had coming in: how might healthcare costs affect my retirement savings? That's a big one.
It is a big one. You think about the rising cost of health insurance. I just had a meeting yesterday with someone, and he said they had a health care plan, HSA. What a great way to hide and defer income for retirement, or for you and or your spouse. If you're married, if you're single, it's a different game plan. But are you using your HSA? Question is it an HSA, use it or lose it? Nah, unless you have health expenses for you or your spouse. The second question is going to be, if it's for both of you, can you not lose it? Can you carry it with you when you retire? Why? Because the rising of healthcare, the unplanned medical expenses, or for those of you who have teeth that need new teeth, that could be one heck of an expense for a medical that's unseen. Then you have long-term care costs going into retirement, and perhaps add in inflation. This could be a spanking. So again, if I were to warn you out there, Charlie, you wrote this, you and Susan wrote this, you kind of did it together. Thank you. This is a very important question when it comes to healthcare benefits and how it really can affect your retirement savings, because God forbid you get a major health illness and maybe your lights start to twinkle or go dim and you have to have someone else care for each one of your loved ones. And if the kids aren't going to help out, it is a really, really expensive chore.
Scott, you hit on inflation. As we're going over listener questions today, if you have a question for Scott and his team, McLean Advisory Group, that number, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. But how does someone calculate for inflation when trying to figure out if they've saved enough? I know, right?
What kind of question is that? I mean, I see, and I look at this, Janie, when you sent that question into us, like, that's a really loaded question, because when you're trying to plan for inflation, we've just seen the rapid inflation from 2021-22, the rising of interest rates, the screaming of interest rate. We see bank failures happening because they had to buy government bonds to protect their money, and they had a bank situation. Man, that was a whole poop show of challenges. So I guess slow and steady wins the race, but we do need. So in inflationary times, usually stock does better. But sometimes we've just faced this. The market has been really volatile. If you think about 2022, it has been tremendous. If you had a bond or like instruments or income type instruments, you probably lost around 15 to 20%. But if you didn't get scared and your underwear didn't get dirty and you held on, you finally are starting to come back. So be very cautious on how you invest the money and understanding the process of what investments to go into, because there are inflationary investments that we can keep up. We saw the Treasury. We had some of you out there let me know when you bought that 9% inflationary bond. That was wonderful for a little bit of money based on your portfolio. Again, you need to adapt to the situations. And again, what is your risk tolerance? Should it be higher now with the rapid inflation? Because we have to keep up with the money. And then, of course, your lifestyle has to change for some of you, because you frankly can't go out to dinner maybe twice a week. Maybe it's twice a month because of inflation. You're buying this food. So again, that's a really good question. It's a really hard question. If somebody thinks they have a hedge on it, good for you. You can buy tools. I call equipment, but you can buy tools. But will it keep with the rapid inflation we have seen in this short period? I'm now 65, Alex. I've seen it in the 80s when it went skyrocketing, but it didn't do it. This skyrocket trip was faster than it was in the 80s.
609-488-4646. The number for Scott, 609-488-4646. Another question we got in here before we go to the rapid fire segment here. We're going to learn a little bit more about you, Scott. But first, another one from a listener here is, when might be the right time to start planning for retirement?
Well, that is a $1 million question, and that should be the moment you start work.
Yep.
You see, if you're brand new, right out of the high school, maybe you're joining these armed services, congratulations, and you get a nice stipend, put away a minimum of 10%. That's gross. So if your income a month is $3,000, put away $300. If your income a month is $500, put away $50. It doesn't matter the numbers if you're real young. Now, if you're older and you've got to play catch up, And I had a nice meeting with the lovely couple the other day, and they said, you know what, we treated our kids, we spent a lot of money, we did a lot of fun sport things with our child and our children. And he said, Scott, we didn't really plan. And now they're starting to sock money away. I said, maximize your 401k. So for each individual person, this is very important. By putting your head in the sand, like those ostriches, your vitals are exposed to the elements of inflation, stock market reduction, or stock market going tremendously well. You have a lot of left hooks, so you've got to take your head out of the sand and say, when do I plan? Now, when do I like to meet with people? If they're older, my age group, when I work with people are, 55 and older, I'd like to meet with people at least 1 to 2 years ahead of time, worst case, 6 months. Now, for those of you that are just retired now, and you say, well, Scott doesn't want to meet with us. No, I'd love to meet with you. Frankly, this is, again, we're going to try to play catch up. We have to really maneuver things differently. But again, it's not a rushed plan. I see so many people going to financial planners, and they get this fancy 30, 40-page printout. That's good for one day. Next day, life changes. This is really important to understand what you need now, what you and your spouse, if you're married, or just you individually, how much do you need? How much does Social Security be? How much do I need to really live on? And then think backwards. What about the trips I want to take? So again, this planning is not a show up at a advisor's office and he does it for you or she does it for you. No, this is think through the process of all the variables, as we spoke about just early in this segment, the healthcare, inflation, Social Security, when do your pension options, they all tie together. In addition, don't forget taxes, because taxes could evaporate a great amount of earnings if taken from the wrong investment.
Great stuff today, and we really appreciate everyone who sent in questions. If you have a question for Scott and his team, McLean Advisory Group, the number is 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. All right, Scott, we're going to pivot here. We got 2 minutes.
You didn't plan anything? I got nothing planned.
I know. I know. I'm putting you on. You got to be on your toes here, Scott. All right.
Got it.
Which I know you can do, my friend. And so you got 2 minutes, and I'm going to just send you some questions. These are all easy questions because they're about you. Okay, you know you, but I don't want you dwelling on any of these answers because I want to try to get through as many as I can here in 2 minutes.
Got it.
All right. All right.
Go.
Let's do it. 2 minutes on the clock. First question for you, Scott McLean. What's on your bucket list?
Growing my business. I want more locations. I love this business.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
Making mistakes and getting so mad at myself. I got to correct them. I hate making mistakes.
When you make that mistake, what's your favorite comfort food? Make you feel better.
I had it last night. Don't tell my wife. Twinkies.
I love it. Favorite athlete of all time?
It's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Watching what he came from and where he was nobody when he was in high school. Nobody wanted him, and he pulled himself up by the bootstraps.
Yep.
Michael Jordan.
Love that answer right there. Favorite book?
I love the Bible, but on top of the Bible, I would tell anybody to get evidence that demands a verdict. I needed to know what I believe and why I believe, and that was almost like a Harvard graduate, the law book, Evidence That Demands a Verdict by Josh McDowell.
Very cool. We're halfway through it. Go to icebreaker story. Is there any sort of icebreaker story? You don't know somebody. Is there something you like to tell about yourself or something that happened? Any icebreaker story for you?
Yes, when I got hit by a car and the car left.
That's a good one. That's a good one because I would have questions. I'd have questions.
8 years old, and it was a life-changing alteration.
I bet. What about your morning routine? What's that look like?
Because I drive from the farm to the office, it's about a 45-minute drive, so I shower, get ready, and I have a quiet time by myself, me and my maker. We think about the day and what I need help on and just guidance.
I love it. All right, 2 more real quick. Holiday you look forward to the most?
Easter.
Oh,
Beautiful
very cool.
day.
I love it. And earliest financial lesson that you can remember?
When I was building a huge business and the government took it away, President Biden was involved in that. The biggest lesson was what you think is stable now may not be stable later. How do you plan?
I love it. What a great message. Scott McLean right there in a nutshell in 2 minutes.
Oh.
I appreciate you, my friend. That is great. And I appreciate all of our listeners. Again, if you have a question for Scott and his team, that number, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Scott, as always, good talking to you, my friend.
Thank you, Alex. You're wonderful.
And thank you all for listening. Have a great rest of your week.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC.